Today and every Monday, we're making sure you understand the law, but first we have to say this. This segment is for informational purposes only. It does not constitute legal advice, and no attorney-client relationship is formed by watching or participating in the segment here. You do want to reach out to an attorney for any specific legal advice. So, paperwork out of the way, we can focus on today's topic. Bill Kindig here with us today, with Rice and Kindig, of course. And Bill, what are we talking about today?
All right, so today we're going to talk about the Good Samaritan Law. And it's interesting because we set these weeks in advance what we're going to talk about.
Right.
But this is kind of personal. And the reason is this. I have a daughter who's a Methodist pastor. And she sent me a text recently and she said, "Dad, what do you know about the Good Samaritan Law?" So I thought we were having a little Bible quiz. And we weren't. She was talking about the law that applies to people who volunteer in an emergency to render aid. So she was actually in Washington, D.C. She's working on her PhD there. And a man was in distress, and his friend or companion, somebody who was with him, came to her and said, "Help, help, help." The man was having a drug overdose. They happened to be close to one of the local chain drugstores. So she ran in, got the pharmacist, said, "Man's having an overdose. You know, what can we do?" And they said, "You can give him Narcan." She said, "Well, I mean, I'm a Methodist pastor. How about you come out here and do it?" And they were prohibited by their company from doing it. And so she actually purchased 3 Narcan injectables and went out and one didn't work, second one didn't work, third one didn't work while they were waiting for the EMS. The Good Samaritan Law protects individuals who go out and try to help in a situation. So if somebody's in a car wreck and you're trying to help them get extricated, or somebody is having a drug overdose and you have Narcan with you, you can administer that and potentially save their life. If something goes wrong while you're doing it, you cannot be held legally responsible for that. You can't be sued for that. You are indemnified against any liability for that, so long as you got to meet 3 criteria. One is it's got to be a true emergency. Secondly, it's got to be something that you do not get compensated for. So if you're an EMS, if you are that person's doctor, then that doesn't count. But if you are not that person's doctor, then it does. And then finally, you have to act in such a manner that is not describable as careless or reckless.
Right.
My daughter administered the Narcan pursuant to the instructions she'd been given. We don't know the outcome. The man did not regain consciousness, so we don't know. But I was able to tell her that had she been in Louisiana, the Good Samaritan Law would protect her. But I also told her, because I wanted to get high grades from her, that the Good Samaritan Law is to do unto others as you would like to have them do unto you.
There you go.
And we support that at Rice and Kindig as well.
Amen. You gotta love it. That is an interesting topic because you don't often think about, sometimes that reaction just kind of kicks in, especially for those in the medical field that are off the clock.
Absolutely.
And it's good to know that they are protected.
They're protected, and we want them to help. We want them to be in a position to help, to use their best judgment, because in an emergency, that's as good as we can do. And also for those of us who are not medically trained, you do the best you can.
Right.
And because we want everyone to care for all the citizens in our city.
All right, real quick, we're running out of time. I know you wanted to talk about LSUS quickly.
I did. That's amazing. I'm amazed. And I think I picked it up when they had won about 24 games, and I thought, wow, that's impressive. And then it was like, next time I look, it's like 30, 40. And then finally, I wish I was in Idaho.
Right.
I envy you guys who got to do that. I'd intended to be there this morning because I think it's important that we all support not just our local colleges and universities and sporting events, but also somebody who has achieved something that amazing. So thanks for letting me comment on that.
Of course, man. Thanks for hanging out with us here today.
Absolutely.
Let's check on the weather now with Patrick.